You're sitting at your desk when your manager sends a message, "Hey, can we talk later today?" That's it. No context, no tone, just those 6 words, and within 30 seconds, you've already lived through the entire disaster. You're getting fired, or restructured out, or someone complained about you. You've rehearsed your response, calculated your savings, started mentally updating your resume. Your manager walks over 3 hours later. Just wanted to say, "Great work on that project." And you smile. You say thank you, but somewhere underneath that smile, you're not relieved. You're just waiting for the next one. The people who live this way are not pessimists. They are not broken, and they are not as irrational as everyone around them seems to believe. Something very specific is happening in their brain. Something that once made complete sense. Something that was, at one point, the smartest thing their mind ever learned to do. There are 3 things happening inside you when your brain defaults to the worst case. 3 mechanisms. Running at the same time, by the end of this, all 3 will make complete sense. And the third one, that's the one nobody talks about, because it doesn't just explain the anxiety. It explains where the whole thing started. Let's start with what's actually happening beneath the surface. When an uncertain situation arrives, a message, a silence, a shift in someone's tone, your brain doesn't wait. It can't. Before you even notice, it's already moving, scanning for threat, reading emotional signals, pulling from every similar moment stored in memory, and predicting what happens next. All of that happens in under 2 seconds, and into that moment, uncertainty enters. Your brain doesn't hold uncertainty. It replaces it immediately, not with neutral possibilities, with the worst one, because that's the one it needs to be ready for. A prepared brain survives. An unprepared brain gets blindsided. That's mechanism 1. Your brain prioritizes preparation over comfort. This isn't dysfunction. It's design. Psychologists actually have a name for this pattern. In 1986, researcher Julie Norham began studying a specific group of people, high performers who, despite every reason to feel confident, consistently imagined everything going wrong before it happened. She called it defensive pessimism. Here's what made her findings genuinely surprising. 2 groups. Same task, same measured ability, same track record of success. One group stayed optimistic. They walked in expecting things to go well. The other group catastrophized. They mentally rehearsed every failure in advance. The assumption was obvious. The optimists would outperform. They didn't. The defensive pessimists matched them. And in high-stakes, pressure-heavy situations, they frequently exceeded them because the anxiety wasn't noise. It was fuel. The mental rehearsal of failure had functioned as preparation. Every worst-case scenario they walked through in advance was a variable they had already solved before it arrived. Norm's conclusion was precise. For certain nervous systems, imagining the worst isn't a thinking problem. It's a coping strategy, and a remarkably effective one. The fear wasn't sabotage. It was strategy. That's mechanism 2. Your brain uses worst-case thinking as preparation. But there's a cost: anxiety, exhaustion, and the inability to fully enjoy anything good. Think about the last time something went right. Good news. Something you were hoping for. Right before it happened, there was tension. You remember that, the bracing. But you don't remember simply feeling good, because it didn't stay simple. The moment relief arrived, your brain shifted. Okay, but what's next? What am I not seeing? Because your brain made a decision without consulting you. Relief equals vulnerability, and vulnerability is where it tightens control. Now here's the part most people avoid. People who expect the worst are not actually afraid of bad outcomes. They are afraid of hope. More specifically, they are afraid of hope being wrong. While everything is going well, there's a quiet voice underneath it. This won't last. Something is coming. Don't get used to this. Not because they think life is cruel, but because at some point, hope was they believed in something. And it didn't happen. And the gap between expectation and reality hurt enough to leave a mark, so the brain made a decision: never again. That's mechanism 3. Not fear of pain, fear of the drop into it, the fall from hope to reality. This pattern is documented. It's called hypervigilant threat detection. When someone experiences repeated uncertainty or instability, a childhood without consistency, a relationship that kept shifting, a period where safety felt conditional, The brain adapts at a neurological level. It starts detecting threats earlier, faster, more aggressively, not as a conscious thought, as a setting. The nervous system literally rewires its baseline. Researcher Naomi Eisenberger's work on social threat processing showed that brains exposed to repeated unpredictability don't just become cautious, they restructure the speed at which threat signals travel, making the alarm system faster, more sensitive, and significantly harder to override with logic alone. This isn't you choosing to expect the worst, it's your system doing it before you can stop it. And there's something important to say about the people on the other end of this. When someone shares good news and you immediately search for what's wrong, it feels like rejection to them. Like nothing is ever enough. Like their good moment isn't safe with you, even if that's not true. That's what it lands like. But your reaction was never about them. It started long before them. It is the residue of a system that learned. The higher hope rises, the further it can fall. That doesn't excuse everything, but it explains most of it. Here's what people fundamentally misunderstand about this pattern. They call it negativity, a mindset, a choice. It's not, it's memory. Your brain is not inventing worst-case scenarios. It's retrieving them every time uncertainty led to pain, every time calm turned into something else, every time the thing you hoped for became the thing you had to recover from. The pattern isn't irrational, it's historical. Your brain is running data it had no choice but to collect. And people who think this way usually share something else. They are highly perceptive. They notice shifts early, tone changes, the energy in a room before anyone has said a word, things others miss completely. Their brain isn't tuned to negativity. It's tuned to signal detection. The same system that exhausts them is the one that protects the people around them. The one that sees what others don't. That's not a flaw. That's a capability. One that came with a cost. This pattern can shift, not by forcing positivity, not by telling yourself to think differently, but by teaching your brain to hold more than one path at once. When the worst-case scenario arrives, don't fight it. Fighting it uses the same mental energy that feeds it. Route it down instead. The full disaster, every detail. Writing it moves the threat from the alarm system, the amygdala, into the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for reasoning and perspective. Neuroscientists call this affect labeling. The moment you name the fear in explicit language, its neurological grip measurably loosens. Then, and only then, add one more possibility, not the best case, not toxic optimism, just another outcome that is equally plausible. You're not replacing the worst case. You're refusing to let it be the only case. That's where the pattern starts to loosen. One additional possibility at a time. The belief that you're broken for thinking this way, that part is wrong. You are not pessimistic. You are not difficult. You are not someone who ruins good things. You are someone whose brain learned, under real conditions, that being ready mattered more than being surprised. That strategy kept you safe. The goal now isn't to remove it. It's to teach your system that it doesn't have to stay on high alert forever. You don't expect the worst because something is wrong with you. You expect it because your brain learned. Being prepared hurts less than being blindsided, and despite all of it, every spiral, every 3-hour wait, every good moment you couldn't quite let yourself have, you're still here. If this gave you language for something you've carried for a long time, the resources are in the description. This channel exists for people whose minds work harder than most and who were never given the right explanation for why. If that's you, subscribe to the Psychology Simplified